Oh, right. All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching this. Hope it's gonna worth your time, worth your while to watch two PMO professionals talking about PMO and leadership. So today we have Tracie Myska, if I'm pronouncing the last name
It's
correctly.
actually it's Czech, so it's Mishka, but
Myska.
close.
Okay, well, check. It's close to me because English is not my first language
Yeah, yeah.
to begin with. So, nice seeing you here, and I'm excited to have you here. We're all gonna talk about different things. So, first things first. Quick intro. I mean, everyone who I'm sharing this video with, I'm mostly familiar with my face, here and
Right.
there, and mostly familiar with I do, which is PMO and technology and leadership and talks and God knows what inside that head. Uh, but give me like a elevator speech as far as like who's Tracie?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thank you, Alex, so much for having me on to have a conversation today. I'm excited. Um, Tracy is a PMO enthusiast, a empathetic leader, and really an agilist at heart. So I know many people think that like agile and PMO kind of come up against each other in a negative way, but I would argue that you've got to be you've got to bake in agility to everything that you do, and those that can do that well get better outcomes for their PMO. And so I have the awesome pleasure of leading the Kelly Incorporated Enterprise Technology PMO. So I've been involved in project delivery, program delivery over the majority of my career, with John Deere first, and then now Kelly. And so I've gotten a really awesome opportunity to participate in a lot of the different project delivery methodologies and project delivery approaches. And so that has given me a pretty awesome foundation that I have been able to use and put into place at Kelly as we're starting to scale and build more consistent practices so that we can have better delivery and transparency for our leadership.
Awesome. So I'd like to kind of curve out some of the things from the memory, and it looks like we've been around for some time, doing what we do. And I have stories. I'm sure you have stories, and sometimes I like stories, specific stories I like to tell. What is it, the story that you like to tell? And I'm sure there's one or two, that is kind of pointing something that is interesting, in today's practices. Something just never dies. Something just never gets old, right? And maybe a little bit about the agile versus PMO, business versus IT.
Yeah.
Do you have that story? Would you share?
Yeah. I mean, I think it is really easy when you think about technology and technical delivery to separate the business problem from the technical solution because everyone thinks they know what they want and everyone thinks they know what they need to build and everyone thinks they know what the solution is. And so I have found over the years that it doesn't matter what we call it, whether we're running like Scrum or Safe or whether we're running Waterfall, etc. The best projects are really found when you can find the connection point between the business and the IT teams and get them to speak a similar language so that they all understand what the true problem is we're trying to solve.
Yeah.
And I have a recent project where that was abundantly clear. Um, we had to modernize a technical stack because of a contractual reason, right? Like there was nothing um, other than we decided to move away from one of our main
If you can,
suppliers.
if you can tell, if I can interrupt for a second, like modernize stack, like speak the name
Yeah,
the words. Like what does it mean modern? A lot of modernization of technical stack going on, and you can give it.
yeah, yeah. So we were a Salesforce shop.
Mm,
So we had a lot running through Salesforce, and that had been built out in kind of a hairball way. It just has little tentacles into everything, but
okay.
there wasn't a lot of thought about building it in a cohesive way that scaled. And
Mm,
so the initial focus was speed. And it was, how do we get off of this
mhm,
onto whatever those new technologies were as quickly as possible?
mhm,
And so the IT organization was like, we can do this. We know how to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to start working. Well, once we started looking at what we needed to lift and shift, we recognized that there was a lot of modernization that needed to happen. And
mhm,
so you're met in this really uncomfortable space of, well, we've got to get this done by X date, but we also need to meet the needs of our business today, or it doesn't matter how quickly we get off of this tool because nobody is going to use it. And
mhm,
so being able to pause and re-examine the way that we were delivering each of the components within our Salesforce stack as quickly as possible and deliver the things that the business needed in the way they needed it in an iterative way
mhm,
was something that had never been really done before at scale at Kelly. And
mhm,
so, we were able to start having those conversations with the business. Okay, what do you need this to do? And what's the most important feature to get delivered today? And so we'd focus on that and then we'd continue to scale. Now, I would love to tell you that, we were able to deliver everything that the business needed and or wanted and it was like a smashing success. But I think we all know the reality of a program like that or a project like that is that it never goes the way you expect it to go. So, did we get the majority of the features in a more modern technology by the date that we needed to? Absolutely. Are we still cleaning up some of those additional features and functionality that we weren't able to deliver on day one? Yes, we are.
mhm.
So it was one of those things where we thought we knew what we needed to do. We thought a lift and shift would be exactly what the business needed. But once we started to put the business and the IT group in a room together, we realized that nobody would have been happy if we had continued down that path without pause.
Did you have to deal with like different leadership styles on the IT side and on the business side?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that there's a, a significant difference between um, the way we think about value on the IT side versus the business side. The business side is really looking for speed, of course, because they want what they want delivered with speed. And they're looking for innovation. And the IT side, we have to not only think about how quickly can we deliver it, but it's also like, how does this integrate with everything else that we have within our environment? What is the cost of that? What is the cost of support, et cetera, ongoing for something like that? And so really getting people to understand that both matter and both are true was something that wasn't easy to do. And so just providing those opportunities for conversations, like we were having a lot of little one-off meetings between business people and IT, but we never got a bunch of people in a room to talk about the problems that we needed to solve. And so we have something every Friday we call Express Lane now, which is exactly that forum. So it's, what are the delivery challenges that we have today, and what does the business need to know and what does IT need to know so that we can all be successful and deliver what we need to when we need to deliver them.
Interesting point. You mentioned the business perceived value differently than IT. Oh, by the way, this is still the same organization,
Yeah.
right? Hello,
Yeah.
right? So maybe there's this exercise of finding a common denominator or common value that both sides can process and comprehend, and that helps to kind of get those people together and move the ball forward. Am I hitting the right notes?
I absolutely. And one of the things that we are actually rolling out um, in over the next year. So we're doing a pretty significant transformation right now. We're in the midst of it in 2026, where we're completely reorchestrating the way that we have our IT teams delivering in Azure DevOps. So they're moving from multiple organizations to one, et cetera. And there's a lot of tool changes, but there's also ways of working changes that are going to need to occur to make it successful. But one of the things that we struggle with a lot at Kelly, and I'm certain it's something that most of us can relate to, is understanding priority, right? Like, what is the most important thing that anybody needs to be working on at any given time? And, you know, we've got multiple business units that have conflicting priorities with one another. And as a corporate IT function, you find yourself in the middle a lot, trying to figure out what's really the most important thing. And so we have introduced or are introducing business value criteria. And this is something that we put together with input from the different business units, as well as our product management organization and our IT leaders. So it was like, here's how we're going to think about work at Kelly, and we're going to, rank it. And is it a perfect solution? No. Is it going to get us closer? To a place where we can all align on priority and help our IT teams know what they need to be working on when? Yes. And so it's, I think it's one of those things. I don't know, Alex, how it has been in your experience, but I feel like there's that healthy tension between value or just priority between business and IT. And I think it's a really important for good business, right? That healthy tension is really where the best decisions come from. If we all agreed with each other all the time, that would be pretty scary, right? And
Yeah.
so just providing mechanisms to get input from more people and get more people aligned on what is of highest value for the company today um, is all that we're trying to do. Just to to cut down on the noise a little bit from all the different people yelling about their most important thing and allow the
Mhm.
teams to have the space to do the work.
Isn't it the job of a true leaders to build the ecosystem within the company that even though you just call them people yapping about their stuff that they want to do, um, that sometimes that yapping may turn into the innovation of the company, right?
Yes.
And you don't want to miss any of the good ideas that are happening, all over the place. And as a true leaders, we need to build some systems where we can travel from top down, bottom up in a light speed, right? We
Yep.
want to see everything, right? Because we need to
Yep.
know where how to steer the ship,
Yep.
and that becomes all these details become crucial sometimes. Uh,
Absolutely.
you may
And
make a wrong decision and embark on a wrong technology that will get you in the wrong place at the end of the day. Especially now, there's so many different ones.
yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. And I also think, really providing the forums to have those conversations so that those good ideas can come to light even when you've got differing leadership styles and different personality approaches, is super important. And you've got to have a strong leader or facilitator to be able to manage all of the, I mean, let's face it, most of us that make it to a leadership position don't get there because we're super timid and shy, right? Like most people are in a leadership position because they know how to get ideas out there and they know how to deliver results. And so, when you have a room full of leaders, there are a lot of voices that need to be kind of heard and need to be listened to. And so providing the right structure so that you can have those healthy conversations and folks can be heard, but it doesn't become a free for all is uber important. And one of the things that I've been working with my leadership team on is being that kind of facilitator in those rooms with other strong leaders, because it's the thing about where the PMO sits, where project sits, where program sits compared to the business or IT or whatever, regardless of where you are in the organizational structure, we live in kind of a middle ground, right? Because we're not successful unless both sides are
Hmm.
doing what they need to do in an
Yep.
effective way. So regardless of our reporting structure, we still have to learn how to navigate those rooms. You know, one of the most important things I've been doing with my folks is really teaching them that they are empowered and also giving them the tools to be really good facilitators when they're having those difficult conversations. Yeah.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not so quick. Feel free to unpack that a little bit. But in your opinion, would you have a different leadership style if you're leading teams on the ground or if you're leading leaders?
I think so, because if you think about the progression of just employees, right? Just even ourselves as employees, when you're younger in your career, a lot of times when you're that individual contributor, you have specific tasks that you need to complete, and that is what makes you successful. Is what makes you good at your job. So, you have to be given, in most cases, those tasks or those goals. So you're a lot more of you're led by a tactical leader, right? The tactical leader is, really looking at actual, day-to-day activities. Are folks getting them done? Are they getting delivered, etc.? And when you lead a team of leaders, I mean, I feel like the best leaders of leaders are not engaged in the tactics. They're not involved in the ticky tack, like, how do you do what you do every day? I don't really, from where I sit, I feel like as a leader of leaders, my job is to remove impediments, things that are preventing my folks from being able to get done or their team to get done what they need to get done. Um, and I also feel like my role, one of the most important roles I have as a coach, is to help them brainstorm through difficult problems. If they come up with a problem their team is trying to solve, to help them work through that and support them with different options. Um, and so I definitely think that the level of leadership that you're working with absolutely does matter. At the end of the day, though, our job as a leader is to help our folks be successful, whether that be completing these specific tasks every day or leading their teams or programs to successful outcomes every day.
Hmm. Thanks for that. This is pretty cool. Answer. Um, did your experience with teaching help you to be the leader?
It You know what? I think it did. Like it's super funny because, I was an English teacher for a decade before I moved into corporate America. And one of the things that I noticed right away was that I had no problem, like, like being the person that took the lead and told people what they needed to do. And it just came really naturally to me. Now, I don't know if that's who I am as a person or what I learned as an educator. And then the other thing that I think is important as a leader, not always totally necessary, but like I can speak in front of a group of 20 people or 2,000 people, and it matters not to me. And I think, the whole act of getting up in front of a group of people every day and teaching them made that something that was just easy for me. So I absolutely believe I had a leg up, and I didn't even realize it when I moved into corporate.
Is interesting fact that when I was in my teenage and young adult age, I was being a counselor at different places. So I had different groups that had kids, all kinds of ages, teenage and whatnot. And we had a good time. I had a good time like coaching them and working
Yeah.
with them. And then I had a case when I had the same type of group, but grown-ups. I was like at least 20 years younger than
Yeah.
everyone in that group. And I had to do what I do every day with the little kids. And I started doing the same thing with a group of adults in front of me. And oh my God, they behave just like those kids,
I,
right?
oh, I know. I remember when I first started working for John Deere. That was my first corporate job. And I remember saying to my first boss, like, I feel like organizing adults is no different than organizing students. And he was like, yeah, I mean, I don't know why I thought it would be different because we're all humans, but like I was a little surprised. I'm not gonna lie.
That's just so funny because we had these games that we played to warm up the group and yada
Yeah.
yada, and I started the same silly games with this adults, and they're sitting in the room and they're like doing the whole funny things, and
Yeah.
they behave just like kids. So that what I've learned from this is basically if you learn to how to communicate, right?
Yes.
And it really doesn't matter whether you have, group of young kids, group of adults in front of you,
Yes.
group of, executives in the room. You will carry this skill over, to any group, and that's amazing. That's amazing.
Agreed.
Um, Look, I'd like to talk about obviously there wouldn't be a talk in 2026 if we won't talk about AI.
Oh, right.
Oh, right. Agility, AI, tell me about it, right? It's a crazy world. You wake up tomorrow, you missed the morning news, you may miss, the new
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
the next thing since sliced bread, right? So what what is it? In your opinion, and how will it change PMO?
So I think there's a lot of things that are already happening that are actually completely net positive. Like I've heard some people say like you won't need project managers anymore because of AI, and I completely disagree with that. But what I do believe is that project and program management will become more strategic and less tactical because you're able to use AI. Like all of the communication that I do now, I almost always leverage AI because it just saves me so much time. So if you think about the repeatable tasks in program or project delivery, a lot of those can be automated with AI tasks. And it's really nice to be able to have someone write your status update every day or every
Mhm.
week, and all you have to do is take a look at it, right? Now, I think that you know there are a lot of things that people underestimate about us as project management professionals that AI will never replace. Being able to read a room, being able to hear the things that aren't being said, etc. Being able to understand the posturing, being able to identify, you know, um, where the risks might be. But I think that leveraging AI to help with those repeatable tasks and those things that I think our time sucks, but maybe aren't necessarily super valuable for our time to be spent doing, is going to be a game changer.
Yeah, I do believe that, as a matter of fact, if any profession, we are probably the luckiest ones, as far as project, because this is what, remember, this is unique endeavor, right? This is something that has never been done before. So we kind of always deal with the latest stuff, the latest, updates and latest and greatest. So we're the one in charge to put this in place, right? So
Yeah.
who else is going to do that? There's
Yeah.
no knowledge yet about how to implement AI in corporate environments. I mean,
Right.
there's just no key study like that is proven to be 100% bulletproof,
Yeah.
right? There's if anything, I think project managers will be the only ones who's going to be running the show.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel good. My job security is just fine as far as I'm concerned. So
Yeah, and job security, right? I think we should probably talk about this a little bit. I think we're miles away from project managers to be replaced by anything. There are attempts to create a project manager helper, to AI agent, and as a matter of fact, we do a lot of that. But I have never seen into anywhere where we deploy any of this technology. It actually replaced a project manager.
right.
What it does, it allows the project manager to be efficient, right? To be more efficient, to be able to do more things, without pulling the hair out, right? So look, I'd like to talk about a little bit about the leadership, and basically we don't have much time to spend, but I'd like to open this one topic. Like, what do we do, and how do we achieve results? Like, what I mean, this is like a loaded question, and a lot of PMOs, right? The project managers, they work every day to run the PMO, to run the projects. Based on what we said today already, based on your vision and vision for the leadership teams, and how empathy leaders think. Oh, my cat is trying to jeopardize our podcast over here. Um, so what in your opinion is really key to achieve results?
So, I mean, I think
Just what?
the first thing you need to get really clear on is, what does success look like? And there's a couple of pieces of that. There's success at the project level, like what are you trying to achieve when you deliver the project at the end? But I think more so, like, as an organization, what does good look like? Like, what does it mean when you're successful? And so one of the things that I have really tried to establish over the last couple of years at Kelly is okay, if we're good at what we do in IT and we're delivering things effectively, how will we know that? Like, what are the signs and signals going to be that tell us that? And I worked with my CIO, I worked with my peers to come up with, like, what does that look like for you guys?
Okay.
And at the end of the day, it's how do we have visibility to, schedule, scope, and budget, and risks, and how do we get visibility to that in almost real time, right? Consistently. And
So
if
what is
we
it?
have those
Sorry for
things,
interrupting. So what is it? Decision making?
I don't know that it's decision making necessarily. I mean, I think that it's successful delivery of projects will lend themselves to these measures, right? You'll stay in scope, you'll stay on budget, and you'll deliver on time, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I think one of the things that we had at Kelly, and I am certain that it is not a unique problem for our organization, but there was this hesitation to share the truth I guess. And, and one of the things that I have constantly said is bad news early. Like bad news does not get better with time. So like if things aren't going well, we need to know about it right away, etc. But that's like a culture shift, right? Like it doesn't just happen overnight. If people are used to like protecting, that information, um, it's providing them tools and processes to bring that information out. So it's regular, consistent status updates. We didn't have those before, and now we do. It is consistent delivery forms, so we can talk about at the delivery team level, like how teams are doing with getting through their work. It's identifying those things that aren't going well and calling out the leadership ask like right away. Whereas people would wait to try and solve problems on their own. And now we say as a leadership team, we want you to tell us now so we can help you work through this. And so I really think it's about getting clear on what success looks like and then putting the processes and structures in place to bring that to light. And so that you can use that data to make decisions. So I guess, yes, it does come down to decisions, as you're
Yeah.
saying. It's what are those processes? What are those tools? What are those structures that will bring that data to light so you can make those decisions? Because I think when you have the right data to make quick, timely decisions, you are far more successful when you are delivering anything, regardless of the type of project.
Sometimes when at a leadership, right? Sometimes making the decision, regardless whether this decision is correct or not, is more advantageous than not making the decision at all,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So having an educated decision even better. Um, I know that you spend, Tracie, a lot of time on, I don't know how much time, but I know that you spend a fair amount of time on talking about empathetic leaders and leadership styles and empathy in that space. It's I do have a lot of interest in that topic with emotional intelligence, and extremely important for leaders being under stress, to flex that muscle, right, and be flexible and yet decisive.
Hmm.
So if I ask you this question and try to answer this as concise as possible,
Okay.
um, what's more important for the leader, empathy or action?
Mm. I would argue that empathy is the most important thing for a leader, I've found, because if you understand the people that you serve, then the action isn't a problem, right? Like, because you are connected to them and they are primed for successful action.
It's funny that you mentioned that people that you serve. I don't think not all the leaders think this way. That the people that report to them, they're not your servants. You serve those people. That's also empathetic way of thinking, but
Yeah.
the whole
And
leadership style. Yeah.
it's funny because, one of the posts I had recently on LinkedIn was talking about I did an empathetic leadership talk to all of the people leaders at Kelly. And I was nervous because, I was nervous.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I said toward the end of that talk was if we don't make the time to work with our folks and coach our folks and learn who our folks are, then like we're not doing the main point of our job. Our job, the work is to lead. The work is to coach. I feel like too many times we're so like caught up with like administrative tasks. And I know that those are a necessary evil. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, when you get into a leadership role, the most important thing you can do is lead your team, not fill out spreadsheets, And I think we forget about that because it's easy. We're human and it's easy to do that. Not only that, that's one of those things like that's what got us here, right? We were good at doing those tasks. We were good at being very tactical in delivering, right? Typically that's how that works when you evolve into leadership. And so it's easy to fall back on that. The harder work is being there to serve your team. The harder work is learning how you can help them be successful, learning how they work and helping them to be the best that they are. Um, and it's uncomfortable sometimes. It is. It is
Yeah.
uncomfortable sometimes because, you know, I mean, we were taught for a lot of years that work, you just go in, put your head down and do your job, right? Um, I would argue that there are still places that feel that way. Um, Fortunately, Kelly is not one of those places. They are one of the most people focused organizations I've ever been around. So um, I really get an opportunity to focus on my leadership and my team. And I love that so much.
Look, on that note, and a lot, in light of the AI, I'd like to just say that people is still more important than anything.
100%.
For most of the fully automated businesses, for any business that you think of, or anything out there, people, the team who made the business successful. That's just what it is. And with AI, hopefully, this is going to stay this way. And on that note, Tracie, thank you very much for this talk. It's amazing. I think we drilled a lot of screws here into into this topic, so it's good. Thank you very much, and I hope that everybody enjoyed the conversation as well, and we'll share it. And again, thanks so much.
Thanks, Alex. I appreciate the time.
All right, thank you. We'll see you next time. All right.